people already here with us. Always great to see our She Builds group. So please share with us in the chat where you're joining us from. And we are excited to have you all here. My name is Whitney Minarchek. I am the community manager at Lovable. And with me is Jenia. She was one of our participants in season 1 of She Builds. And you'll have to be sure to follow her because she's doing some really great things with her app. But today she's here to talk about jobs to be done. So I'm going to hand it on over to her. Look at that. We got Northern Ireland. We're going to get people from all over. That's the best part of this all. Be sure to ask your questions. And you can share them in the chat. You can share them through the Q&A. This will be recorded and available afterwards. But go ahead, Jenia. I'm going to hand it off to you because I know you've got a lot of really great stuff to share with us. And the more I talk, the less they can learn from you. So thank you for being here and can't wait to hear what you've got.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm super excited to be here today with you all. And especially I appreciate the fact that you all decided to spend your next hour with us, and especially in the middle of the week. So yeah, thank you so much for that. Very excited for our session today. I think, so many people from different places. So I think we will wait for a minute or so and we will be starting. Okay, I guess, hello from Ukraine, I see it. Very happy to see Odessa here. So, okay, I guess we could start. And today, I will share with you my favorite approach ever, the jobs to be done, because it helped me so many times to grew products from scratch to their millions in revenue. And it helped me answer lots of different questions, such as what should we build, who are our competitors, how should we position our product, what to ask our users. So I believe you will be able to do the same after our session. And you could ask, Jenia, who are you? Why should we listen to you? And that's a fair question. I've been working in marketing for the last 9 years. I've helped lots of different B2B and B2C products grow from the scratch. And I've personally done more than 100 customer interviews. But currently, I'm a founder of Era. It's an AI-powered assistant that turns a cycle into a superpower instead of a burden. And yes, I've built it with Lovable. So before we will proceed to the main part of the session, I want to share with you my mantra that I apply both to the lectures I give and also listen to. And it sounds like your power goes where your attention flows. I know we're all professionals in multitasking, but I highly recommend to turn off your Slack for the next hour if you can do so and focus on this lecture because it will be super insightful. And I also recommend to write down everything that will resonate with you, capture your most valuable thoughts during this lecture, and please save all of your questions for our Q&A part at the end. Also, write them down once you've had them, because I know it's highly possible that you will forget about them until the end of the session. And if you would love to share your thoughts on LinkedIn, that would be really awesome. I would love to read about it. So let's start with the question. Who do you think are the competitors of this shampoo? Like, please drop all of your thoughts into the comments. I would love to hear your ideas. Like, let's have 30 seconds and we will proceed. You don't have to name brands. It could be like just the type of the product that could be a competitor. I can see first answers. Herbal essences, Sephora. Yeah. Hair masks, all hair types shampoo. This brand, I love this one, but I do not know how to pronounce this name. Hair salons, yeah. Yeah. So all of your answers are correct. And all of the other brands of shampoo, hair masks, dry shampoo, even baseball cap or trimming machine or a beauty salon, all of them could be competitors to this specific shampoo or any other shampoo. The question is, why is that? And the reason behind that is actually the core idea behind our lecture. All of these items, all of these solutions, they actually can help any person with the exact same struggle. Like you woke up and you realized that you have to make your hair look really good. So you can use any of these options. Like you can have you can go to the salon and have a blowout. You can wash your hair. You can use a dry shampoo. You could put your cap on. You can trim your hair if it's something extreme. So yeah, definitely you can use all of the things. And apart from this idea, I would like to share with you two more core concepts that will be essentials to our lecture as well. And the first one, it was presented by Byron Sharp in his amazing work, How Brands Grow. And the idea is that brands grow not through uniqueness, but through mental availability, the ability to come to mind at the right moment and to be easy to recall when it matters. He means that when you are struggling with something, you could remember some brand name, some association with the brand that you've seen this ad like on Insta, or maybe you heard about it from your friend. That's all about mental availability, like to be remembered, to be quickly like coming up to your mind. Another idea that's really important for us is that there are two cognitive systems that drive our decision making, and the author of this idea is Daniel Kahneman. In his work, Thinking Fast and Slow, he presented that there are two systems: fast, intuitive, and emotional, system one, and the second one, slow, analytical, and effortful. And most of the time, the first system leads our thinking. And we are making thousands of decisions every day, and 99% of them we are making by using the system one. If we use our system two, we would be completely exhausted by 9 a.m. So, having an old mind, I have a question. Why are we still building products for rational beings? Like, as marketers, as founders, as product managers, as any who's responsible for creating something new, we are trying to find this rational core behind every product, when actually our customers could not be really rational while making their decisions. And there is one more issue. Traditional research methods like focus groups, like surveys, they're all an attempt to engage with system two, the analytical one. And when we ask a direct question, why did you choose our product? In response, we will get a polished, logical, rational story, and most likely it will have nothing to do with reality. Not because your user lied to you, but because he or she, they basically rationalized their answer. Because our conscious mind, it skillfully explains decisions that were made in the depths of our subconsciousness. And we get socially acceptable answers that are not the real drivers of our behavior. The question is how to bypass system two and uncover the truth. And the answer is the jobs to be done approach. As I said previously, No one wakes up thinking, I want to buy a CRM system. No, you can wake up and think, I'm sick and tired of losing my customers. There is so much chaos in my spreadsheets. It's killing my business. It's keeping me up at night. And that is the job. Like, you can hire for this job your CRM system, your new one. You can hire an Excel spreadsheet. You can even hire an assistant or do nothing. That's also an option. It's sometimes called status quo. And another important point that we all have to keep in mind is that, unfortunately, people don't care about your products. Like, they don't care about its features, technology, unique benefits, all of the stuff we're so skillfully trying to promote through our marketing materials, because people, they are busy with their own lives and they're just trying to cope with it, make it a little easier, a little bit better. And your product should help them achieve their own progress. So let's repeat it again. People don't buy products, they hire them to do a specific job to help them make progress in a particular life situation or context. And unlike traditional research methods, jobs to be done, it's an archaeology of the moment. It doesn't ask about the product, it explores the struggle and the context that preceded the purchase. When you are making any purchase, like, you can actually remember from your own experience that you've started thinking about this solution far, far, far earlier. And that's the main point of the jobs to be done approach. Also, another extremely important thing is that jobs to be done fully ignores demographic. It doesn't care how old your user is or where they live. And instead, it asks different questions like, what is this person striving for in their life right now? What is pushing them toward change and what is pulling them toward a new solution? What anxieties do they have? And these questions, they allow you to view the market not as a set of segments, but as a collection of jobs that people are trying to get done. And your product is just one of the candidates that can be hired to do this job. Like, let's take Lovable, for example. Like, if we stick with demography, we would say that the core audience of Lovable should be, like, let's fantasize, like people in their 20s for some reason, I don't know why, but in reality, let's say you're a product manager in a huge enterprise company and you want to present your idea to the board, but you have to do it right. Like, you want to actually build an MVP of it. So your job is to build an MVP in the most affordable and easiest way possible without writing a single line of code. And so you will go to Lovable, you will make it happen in like a couple of hours or maybe a day, and you will be good to go. Another case, imagine you're a student, like you're really ambitious about this idea. You really want to change the world, but you don't have any money to invest in it. So you have to create this MVP to show it to your potential investors. Again, you will go to Lovable, you will use it, you will create your MVP. No single line of code, like easy way, affordable way, that's it. And the job for these two people, it was exactly the same, but they are completely different. And this is the idea behind the jobs to be done. Also, jobs to be done contains lots of internal elements. And two queens of them are the context and timeline. They could look a bit similar to you, but they're actually completely different. And the context, this monstrous slide that you can see right now, is actually not that scary when you just pay enough attention. As I said before, when you try to remember every purchase you've made, far earlier, you would have your struggling moment. The moment when you realize that I cannot continue doing this in that way. I have to change something. And when you've done this, when you've had this thought, you would feel some anxieties, some habits that you've had about the situation, but also you would feel some pulls and pushes towards the new solution. And there are lots of other elements, as you can see, and I highly recommend to take a screenshot of this slide. And after our lecture, go to your chat with Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, and simply ask them to explain to you other elements because they will be extremely important for your final script for the interview. But currently, I want to mostly focus on practical implementation. So let's talk about four most important of these elements. Understanding these four forces, push, pull, anxieties, and habits, they will light truth on your situation. They will light on the truth on your situation because you will begin to see that your main battle isn't with your competitors, but with inertia and anxiety. And your task isn't just praise your product, but also to understand your customers' pain, elevate their fears, help them overcome the power of a habit, and overall, this idea that you do not have to be louder, you actually have to be more attentive, it's groundbreaking. Like it was groundbreaking for me. And when I was researching audience before I've built ERA, before I wrote a single prompt to Lovable, I realized that after speaking with almost 200 women, not almost, more than 200 women, they've shared with me so many anxieties they had that I realized that is my priority to actually, first of all, ease all of these anxieties and only then start thinking, how can I build everything around this push and pull? For example, lots of women, when they're tracking their period, when they're tracking their menstrual cycle, they are very anxious about the fact that their data could be leaked. That's a really important point. So I knew that I not only have to make ERA secured, but also I knew that I have to communicate about it properly. And what's interesting is that European women, they are not that concerned about their privacy as American women. So I also knew that later in my marketing communications, I would communicate more about the privacy of my app for American audience. Another point is that women said that I don't really want to switch to another app that would be paid, like in order to track my period. But the thing is that ERA is not about period only. Like it actually helps you think your lifestyle with your cycle. And I realized, okay, if the entry point is about tracking, I have to make it completely free. I have to let all of these women just simply try ERA and realize that there is so much more over simple tracking. They will receive personalized recommendations after it. And I have to tell you, I can see now when I launched ERA 2 weeks ago that it actually works. So yeah, as usual, jobs to be done is a magic. But let's go further. Another queen, timeline. As I said previously, they're a bit similar, especially because in context, we have our struggle moment. Here we have initial thought. This thought when you at first realize that you have some issue, and then you would have your passive search stage, active search stage, decision making. And for these events, it could be like you saw this ad on Instagram, you heard from your friend about this product, and only then you've made your purchase. Sometimes, of course, not in all the cases, not every customer would have completely the same journey from their initial thought to their purchase, and you have to keep it in mind. So the idea that you have to have all of these elements as a skeleton of your script for the interview, yes, of course, it's extremely important. You're basically looking at the skeleton right now. I know it could look horrifying, but I promise you it will be much, much easier when you will see an example. And another important aspect of the jobs to be done is the job itself, the core element of them all. And the biggest mistake I've been seeing lots of the time is that many marketers, they focus solely on the functional dimension of the job. But in reality, emotional, social, and personal one could be as much important, or if not even more important than the functional one. Because when you know what practical and measurable result does this person need, and you can answer this question, it's only one part of the situation. You personally know that sometimes you buy things because you want to feel more confident. Sometimes you do something like buy something simply because you want to be a part of a social group, or maybe you want to be aligned with your personal values. And it's really important to consider all four dimensions of the job. But how does the job looks like? So the job complete formula is when I want to achieve something. And it's really easy to start seeing jobs everywhere, like help me become happy, help me become successful. And yeah, it sounds nice, but it's completely useful for business because not every job is useful. Not everyone leads to an insight on which you can build a product or strategy. And our goal is to find an actionable job, the one that will serve both as a compass and a map for you. And so here's a really great example. Like when I feel anxious about my financial situation, help me take control of my finances so that I can feel confident about my future. There were several important markers of the effectiveness of your job, and the first one is that your job should be a story of transition. It always describes a moment from point B, where there is a struggle, some issue, to the point B, when there is a desired outcome, some better version, etc. So from anxiety to the confidence, as you can see in this job. Also, another important point is that your job stands on its own without mentioning the product. Like this first job could be applied to different solutions. It could be a personal finance app. It could be a physical notebook for having all of your expenses in one place. It could be even your notes on your iPhone, just a simple, basic application. So the third point is that your job should point to a market, not a single person, because a valid job is a pattern and it's a struggle experienced by a significant number of people, which makes it economically attractive to you. So when I've been talking with all of this more than 200 women, I've realized that the core emotional job and personal job of Ada could be when I feel unexplainably self-critical. I want to receive a reminder explaining my hormonal shift to achieve instant validation and reassurance over my frustration. Yes, it's a long one, and you don't have to keep it only long or short. You will have lots of jobs when you have lots of different functionality, but every product has its core job for their core audience. Also, I really want to tell you what is not a good job until we will go to the practical part. First of all, if your goals are too abstract, it's a bad job. Your tasks are too simple, like help me take a photo. No, it will not work that way. And or you're using product description or features inside this job. Like if you're saying something like, I need a phone in order to, it's also a bad example. And as I said previously, if you have a demographic description, it's not about jobs to be done. So good news, we're done with the theoretical part and we are ready to go into our practice. And I have to say that this path, it's very challenging but extremely rewarding because when you are collecting all of these insights from your audience, when you're diving deeper into their lives, into their struggles, and you actually started figuring out how to help them solve all of their issues, it's extremely insightful and I would say inspiring. So before you will rush to LinkedIn or any community, you need to clearly understand who you're looking for. And respondents, they usually fall into three categories. First one is potential users. Basically, people who aren't using your product yet, but they are facing this very struggle that was designed to solve by your product. You can invite potential users if you're just starting building something, if you haven't had this feature yet, and also you can invite current users, people who already adopted your product, who already have some particular job to be done for them. And it could be former users, people who've used your product for some reason stop doing that, and your aim is to understand what was the reason behind this decision. So when you're building something new, for sure you should invite 100% of your audience as your potential users. But when we're talking about product growth, or for example, you are experiencing a churn issue, I highly recommend to use this ratio. So for the growth, I have a rule of thumb to invite about 40% of your current users to understand what you're doing right and how to strengthen these areas. 40% of potential users to understand what barriers are preventing you from attracting new customers, and 20% of former users to find gaps in your product and your customer experience that are costing your money. Churn, it's a bit different because I highly recommend to focus on your former users. Like, you need to get to the bottom of why people leaving. 30% would go to the current loyal users and 20 for the potential ones. You could have a question, okay, we got it. What's next? And the next step is to consider your channels to spread the word about your survey. So I have some ideas for you for your B2B product and B2C one. And of course, LinkedIn is the best platform for B2B. You can search for people by using their job title, company, region. You can use Sales Navigator. You can message them directly, or you can use professional communities like Slack, LinkedIn, Discord. And if you're talking about your current customers or churn ones, you can actually ask your sales team, account team, or create a general email outreach for the client-based system, or use your CRM system. Speaking about B2C, I find online communities that's the best way to promote your survey, like Facebook groups, subreddits, discussions on Threads or X, your communities on Slack and Discord. Also, Product Hunt is a nice option. Or you can even use offline channels. Like, don't be shy to make a poster with a QR code and just leave it in your local park, like cafe or something else. Also, your socials. It's my favorite channel besides online communities because you can use your LinkedIn, your Insta, Threads. You can ask your colleagues or friends to share the link to your research. And both for B2B and B2C products, you should definitely use corporate social media, like personal pages of founders, team members, official pages of the product. Or if you are out of these options with free opportunities, you can definitely hire some respondents for a fee. There are lots of websites that can help you with that, such as respondent.io. But frankly, in 99% of my cases, I didn't use such platforms because I found enough people through all of these free channels. So let's dive into examples. When I was looking for these women to talk about their experience with their apps for period tracking and cycle tracking, I went to Threads and I asked a simple question. Where do you track your cycle and why there? And frankly, it was simple luck because almost 50,000 of women saw this post and several hundreds commented to that. And I messaged each and every one of them with the message. Hey, thank you so much for sharing your experience. I would love to hear more about it. So if you would like to have a short call with me, please book a slot here, link to the Calendly. I will love to share with you a free access to my product when it will be ready for launch. Or if you don't have enough time for that, you can use this link to online questionnaire. So that was one of the approach I use. Another one was to share it on LinkedIn. As you can see, completely different post, completely different audience for sure, but it also worked. And I would say that apart from my personal socials, communities worked really well. I've shared it across lots of different marketing communities, founders communities. So yeah, it was really effective. But speaking about B2B example, I would love to share with you a more structured approach, because when you're reaching out to a complete stranger, especially when we are talking about a B2B product, it's much, much, much more challenging. And I have my favorite framework to use. So to dive into the context, I was responsible for the research for a B2B SaaS solution for workplace managers. It was a platform to help you adjust all of the operations around your hybrid work model. And so I was looking for workplace managers in tech companies all around the Europe. And in order to reach to them, I used my tire technology, not technology, technique. T stands for transparency. I always communicate the fact that it's not a sales call, because nobody will join your call if they know that you will sell them something during this one. I stands for ideology. So basically, I prefer telling that we're not inviting them to talk about our product again, but to be a part of something bigger. Like it could be a shift in the market, it could be a huge research you're doing and later that you will share with them. It could be something that they will feel like they're doing really important work for their industry as well. R stands for reward. I would say that that's the most important component out of all of them, because frankly, even if your topic, even if your ideology are super cool, you still have to give something back. And it could be an Amazon voucher, it could be some charity made on behalf of this person. You can give a free access to your application, or you can give a personal consultation to this person. So basically, you name it. And the last one, E, stands for ego. It's really important to highlight how important this person is to you. Like you can acknowledge their expertise. You can make them more open to this dialogue when you, for example, did your homework and you know that they've been at this specific event, and you can share like, hey, I really liked your speech, or maybe I really like the fact that you joined this event because we share the same vision. So be creative. Also, lots of other tips and tricks. You have to choose your order, like whether you want to start with customer interviews and then conduct an online survey, or vice versa, or to have a hybrid format. I personally prefer hybrid format because, as I said previously, I usually put it on in one single message. So for people with enough time for the call, they could choose this option. And for those who don't have it, they could basically just have a 10-minute online survey. Also, you could ask, okay, Jenia, how many conversations should we have? I highly recommend to have at least 10 customer interviews for the research, because you can only stop when the stories and insights have been repeating for some time. When you are seeing that at least the third or half of your respondents, they have the same anxieties, same potential job, same desired outcomes, that's like a sign for you that you found something really important. Also, please keep in mind that around 10 to 20% of people won't join your call. Yeah, like please don't be angry. We're all humans and it's completely fine. But also, speaking about online surveys, I also have a rule of thumb to gather at least 100 answers, because your conversations with your customers, it's more about the depth, and your survey, it's more about the statistical proof that this job could be actually applicable to a lot bigger amount of people. So that's why I highly recommend to have at least 100 answers. And please set aside a month or two for a comfortable pace, and do not repeat my mistake, and do not have 2-3 interviews per day with no pauses in between, because you will look like this dog, you will look like me, because I looked exactly the same. And please send reminders to people. They will forget about your call, they will forget about it like even one day before. So please be sure that you've sent your reminders, and guarantee anonymity, because you will not gain much more if you have emails of these people when they're having your online survey done. Like, please share the fact that you will not record this session unless they gave you their yes before the session recording. And please write in the intro of your survey that this an anonymous one. Okay, I need a second. Okay, let's go further. So, step number 2, to create a questionnaire. Your script, isn't just a list of questions. It's basically a tool for testing your assumptions. So, first of all, you have to make a list of your hypothesis. You have to write down everything you think about your product. You can have a brainstorm with your team, and all of these assumptions will help you test this against reality. So, for example, it could be something like, we think our main job is, we think our main competitors are, and it could be list of companies, your status quo, alternative solutions, etc. It could be also something like, we assume that customers' biggest anxiety is, or we believe that the key hiring criteria is. And so when you're done with your hypothesis, the next step is to convert the jobs to be done theory into questions, because your conversation should naturally cover all jobs to be done components we discussed earlier. And your list of hypotheses will help you understand which of them deserve special attention. So, as I said before, this is a skeleton of your questionnaire. And in 2 slides, we will dive deeper into the example. So please wait just for a moment, because I have 8 really important things to share with you that you should not do in your script. And so, first of all, apart from the fact that we have to include all of the jobs to be done elements, you have to remember that number 1 rule is not to ask about the future, because we're all perfect dreamers and poor prophets. And asking questions like, why did you buy it? It's actually activating their system 2, the rational 1. And that's why instead of asking questions about the future, like, would you buy it? Or asking questions with why, you should ask something like, tell me more about the day you've made this purchase. What preceded it? With whom have you had a conversation about it? And etc., etc. Also, please do not ask closed questions, because they kill the conversation and you simply are not letting your respondent share all of their experience. Also, always start with the product. Like, ask them, what do they do for a living? What are their hobbies? Or if you're talking about a B2B product, you can ask them about the company, about their title, their set of responsibilities. So take it easy at the beginning. Also, please do not ask several questions at once, because your respondent, he or she, would simply use one question they would like more. Also, if you offer answer options, such as, so you probably were annoyed when you saw it, like, don't do this. You're prompting them to some specific answer, and it could transform it. It could transform it even in their mind. So you are doing a really big choice by offering them answer questions. Also, if you want to ask them about their opinions, please don't. It's better to ask about questions. You could be interested in some particular feature usage. So you would like to ask something like, so what do you think about this feature? Do you like it? Again, it activates system 2. Instead, it's much better to ask, so when was the last time when you've been using this feature? Could you please walk me through the process? How did you use it? What did you solve with it? Etc., etc. And please remember, you don't have to remember it all right away. This definitely takes some practice and you will be really good. So, as I promised, I have an example for you. You can scan this QR code and later you will be redirected to a Google Doc. It's an interview questions for B2C app for the potential customers. And as you can see, here is basically everything we've discussed previously. So the introduction with the reassurance that this is not a sales call, that you have to ask a permission to record. There's questions like, tell me a little about yourself, like, what do you do? What are your hobbies? And as you can see, the first question in the main part is, remember the moment when your first thought was, that's it, this can go on like this. I need to seriously take up my finances. Just for the context, it's a financial app, so that's why this question is about finances. So yeah, we're basically prompting them to start thinking about their struggling moment, about the moment of their initial thought. And later, when you dive deeper into this example after our lecture, you will see that it basically contains all of the elements of jobs to be done. Also, in order to make it much easier for you to create your own questionnaire, here is an AI prompt that you can use into and paste into your ChatGPT or your Gemini chat. So basically, you have to copy this one, paste it, paste your previous example, and you will be good to go. Like I've spent last time, I've been using my own prompt and my own examples, and I needed only a half an hour from the moment of having nothing at all to the moment with a fully ready script to have an interview. So here, this prompt, it contains all of the rules we've been discussing during this lecture and we will discuss as well. So it's really extremely helpful. Just try it. But remember that only your knowledge and your deep immersion into the context can help with a truly correct script, because AI does a good job, but your goal is to make it great. And so we are ready to talk about the part of conducting interviews. It's my favorite one because, we always tell something like to conduct an interview, but actually your mindset should be about the fact that you are not a company representative or a founder who's talking to users. You are a person who's talking to another person. Like the other one, they're sharing with you their life struggles, their anxieties, their habits, their desired outcomes. Like so many personal stuff would be discussed during your interview. So you have to be really, really empathetic. You have to avoid any judgment. And this is your foundation. Because none of other techniques will work if you don't have a genuine interest in the person and their story. You have to create a safe space for them. And people, they can actually tell when you're genuinely interested in their story and when you're just doing your job. And they will only share their deepest stories and deepest anxieties with those who are genuinely interested in it. Also, another task for you is to recreate the full timeline of events that led to the hire and found out the job. Again, as I said before, you have it all in your script already. So you don't have to to be reminded about it during your interview, because you will have it right in front of you. So that's just important task to have in mind. I also would say that the trickiest part of the interview is about the fact that you not only have to listen to the words, but also to what lies in between them. Because lots of the most important stuff, it's actually about non-verbal signals, especially when we're talking about something like pauses. You've asked a question and your respondent, he or she, they're like, I cannot recall actually. So it's really important, because if they cannot recall anything, it's a sign for you that they don't have enough emotional association with this specific product, feature, or something else. Also, sometimes I've seen this personally, when person made a pause and then they were like, it really doesn't matter. I just have this thought, like, no, it would sound stupid. And you should go like, no, tell me more about that. I'm really interested in it. Because after this, they actually could share their personal job or maybe emotional job. Also, if they're sharing with you some workarounds, like yeah, your product is good, this feature is really nice, but I'm still using product A, B, and C for this, and that. That's like a sign, a roadmap for you. What should you build? Because they actually spotted your weak spots and you have to pay really close attention to it. Also, one more important step is to have a proper setup. Like, I cannot stop talking about the fact that please at first ask for the permission to record your session. But once you have it, turn on your voice memo as well. Because I have had so many technical issues when I've been using only like Zoom recording or TLDV. It's always nice to have a backup. Also, please have your notes because all of this non-verbal stuff you can actually spot it only during the session, and when you will be rewatching it, you could simply miss it. So yeah, of course, this part of the double recording and your personal notes, it's like a perfect setup for the interview. And the last part is online surveys. So basically, as I said previously, an interview is a deep dive into a person's story. A survey is a view from above of the whole audience. And in order to again make it much easier for you, I have an example. You again can scan this QR code and you will be redirected to another Google Doc. So this one is again based on hypothesis, jobs to be in a structure, but it has a short form. Because when we are talking about surveys, you unfortunately will not be able to dive that deep as you could with interviews, but you still will have lots of insights and you have to stick to jobs to be done. So all of the rules that we've discussed previously, like do not ask about future, ask about past, do not ask why, and all of the other stuff, you still have to stick to these rules here. And also, there is a bit more of them. And I highly recommend to give an approximate time at the start of the survey because one person opens your link and they have their own expectations like, okay, this will take about 5 minutes, and then they're seeing that there are 20 more questions to have to answer, they would be really frustrated. So I highly recommend to tell at the beginning, yes, it will take 15 minutes, but I promise you, you will have a smaller churn after that. Also, start with simple questions. Same as with interviews, you should start with questions like, how old are you, where do you live, and etc., etc. Also, please keep a balance between open and closed questions and be careful with required questions because people don't want to spend too much effort on your survey, but at the same time, you want to have as much as possible insights. Also, please always include another option because you cannot predict all of them and you cannot predict technical issues. That's why you have to test your survey. Please send it to your friends, to your colleague, to someone who could simply open it and click on every question because I cannot tell you how much time I had some technical issues and I saw some technical issues in other surveys. Also, thank people at the end of your survey and keep the conversation going. Your last question could sound like, hey, thank you so much for all of your insights. If you would like to continue our conversation, please leave your email and I will contact you directly. And then you can, for example, invite this person to an interview. And you can actually use this hybrid model idea to your maximum. Also, again, do not expect to remember it all right away, because even up to 100, even more than 100 customer interviews, I keep making some mistakes, and it's totally fine because, again, we're all humans, and jobs to be done is about the fact that you're a human who's talking to another humans, and that's the beauty of it. So, we've done lots of the stuff, we've gone really far, and everything that's left for you is to analyze data after your research and apply these results. And I have to tell you that this could be like another lecture. So if you are interested in having another lecture, with me was lovable to listen to the best possible approaches and frameworks to analyze your data after interviews and to apply your results to your marketing communications, product roadmap, and any other material. Just you can, I guess, vote in the poll we have or drop a comment. And yeah, we will make sure to have this lecture. So you did it. I'm very happy about it. I'm very happy that we've had this conversation today. And until we will have our Q&A part, 3 books we've already talked about. And again, if you want to learn more about mental availability, about cognitive systems, or the jobs to be done, I highly recommend How Brands Grow, Thinking Fast and Slow, and Competing Against Luck. So I'm ready for any of your questions. And just in case you have some more or you will have some questions, don't be a stranger and drop me a message on LinkedIn. I will be happy to answer them.
All right. Thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause for Jenia. I was enjoying that. It's been a while since I've talked jobs to be done, so this was amazing. And you're getting a lot of well-deserved love. For those who are here in the Big Marker webinar, the links to the docs for the QR code docs and Jenia's LinkedIn are in the sticky note at the top. We do have a few minutes for some Q&A, and I'm not sure, Jenia, if you're able to see the Q&A or if you would like me to read it out to you.
I can see it. And yeah, so Victoria, you've asked, do you think it's okay to interview people you know well? I would say that it's not ideal because, like, let's say, on one hand, the main point of interviewing any person is to know that they are your perfect respondent because they cover several criteria. Like, for example, if we're talking that your husband, I don't know, he's a workplace manager and you're working on a workplace management tool, it's not a bad idea to talk about it with him because he probably will be open enough to have this conversation with you, and it still will be about his work, like it still will be about a B2B product. So I think that with B2B it's a bit more convenient because with B2C it's much more personal, and sometimes talking with your friends it could be not professional enough because you would start talking about something personal and you would skip the main part. So I've done that. I can't say that it's impossible or it's a bad practice, but it's definitely better to invite your, like, I don't know, just acquaintances, not close friends. Okay, we have another question. What are some most important things to pay attention to when interviewing for a new product you're building, researching the problem? I would say that the biggest mistake I've seen is that when you don't have a product yet, you are really tempted, you could be really tempted to think that, okay, now I have this list of 100 features to build and I will start with the first one. Unfortunately, you actually don't have to do so, and you have to stick to your plan. So basically, when you're listening to people who haven't tried your product yet simply because it doesn't exist, you have to focus on the fact that what they did have in their previous experience. Like when you're asking about some things like price, you cannot be sure that they will definitely pay this price simply because they said you so, they told you so. It's better to ask something like, have you ever had other app subscriptions for similar issue? Or maybe you could ask them, like, how much do you spend monthly on your subscriptions, like in order to understand the whole approach of this person. So I highly recommend to like focus on the past as we discussed previously. Also, to make sure that you keep your list of features short. And this core, I would say, startup approach to first create your MVP and then only go further. Like, I highly recommend to focus on, I don't know, up to 3 main features, use Lovable to build an MVP, and only then proceed with all of them, all of the others. Okay, let's go. Hi, hello from Irpin. Hi. How do you block the desire to validate your own jobs, except asking kind of close questions about it? Block the desire to validate your own jobs. Could you please add some more details to this validate your own jobs? I mean, if we are talking about the fact that you already have some jobs like regarding your product and you want to validate whether or not they are applicable to this new person, it's totally fine. It's totally fine to test it, because even if you have this main job that are applicable to 99% of your audience, it's totally fine to have this 1%. So I would really appreciate if you can like restructure your question.
We'll see what they say, but my take on that is when you create something, you already have an idea in your mind of what jobs it's for. How do you avoid accidentally skewing things to just validate what you already believed rather than truly following what you learn from the interviews?
Yeah, thank you so much for this. Thank you. Yeah, it's then that it makes sense. Okay, I would say that it's very challenging, because you will be interested in that for sure, but you have to remember that your aim is not to prove your initial ideas or hypothesis, but to actually search for true answers to your questions. Like, it will be painful if your ideas were wrong or if your hypotheses were incorrect, but it's much better to know this in advance than to build a product based on the fantasized idea and then realize that you've spent too much effort, time, money, etc. on something that simply doesn't work. So that's the only way. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. What you describing sounds very much like the job of a UX designer would do during the discovery process and when doing user studies. Or what's the point helping one-man company person to do all that? Often in my practice, the objectives between marketing and design differ, and this is more from the perspective of a designer. You're absolutely correct. Like, this approach could be applied not only to marketing, but also to UX design. And I would say that in companies I worked for, I was the person responsible for that. At first, I was a marketing manager, then I was a product marketing manager, then a marketing team leader. So I would say that it only depends on your company structure. It's totally fine to be a designer. It's actually great to have different teams working with this approach, because as a designer, you would dig deeper into the aspects of user interfaces, user experiences, if you work with interfaces, of course. And so I guess that that's just a universal practice, the universal approach you can use. Okay, yeah, thank you so much. If I have not answered like fully on your questions, or maybe you have some more of them, please don't be shy.
There is one in the chat that says, how many interviewees or responses would you consider as a robust sample before proceeding further with investment?
As I said, my rule of thumb is minimum it should be 10 interviewees, but frankly, I've never done less than 20. So 20 is much better, but the more the better. But overall, I would say that it's also tempting to have like 50 or maybe 100 people. But yeah, I would say that speaking from the experience, 20 should be enough to start. Like, again, you don't have to go all like, you don't have to spend the next year building the product only based on this 20 interviews. Make it by a simple small step, like, and by step by step, you will proceed to the full product, full picture of it all.
Wonderful. Well, that was incredible, and just amazing. So much. A lot of people are saying thank you so much for the session. Having to hop off. Jenia, I just want to say thank you. I know that this is a very robust topic, and so to bring it into an hour in a way that people can actually understand and want to learn more is impressive. So props to you. You asked, and the poll was an overwhelming yes. They would like more. So thank you so much. This was wonderful. Everyone go follow Jenia. Highly recommend. If you're looking for those boosts on LinkedIn, do a post. What did you take away from it? Tag her in it. Show her some love. And then one another, go post on or comment on each other's. That's how you can help build your brand. And use one another to ask, hey, I'm trying to test this theory or get some ideas on this project of mine. Do you know someone in this use case? That's going to be the best way to probably find all the different people you need to interview. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned to wherever you learned about this webinar. We have more coming up. Our next one will certainly be next month in May, which we'll be sending out details for soon. And we'll just keep going. So you let us know what topics, and we'll just keep delivering. Thank you, Jenia, so much. It's always great having a former participant here on the stage, and just so grateful for you.
I'm so grateful too. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Whitney. Thank you, Javier. Thank you to each and everyone who've been listening to this lecture. Wishing you a great end of the week.
Wonderful. All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.